Colleagues, peers, let our collective essence coalesce into arcane so that we may unlock the crystal tome and prepare for my next session into the Warpshell. A lot has happened in the Warpshell since I've last updated you folks. We have now entered Act 2, and this video was going to be reframing this campaign, deciding what the mood is going to be on through here out, what the major factions and characters are going to be here on out. But we now have a more pressing issue. In the last session, one of my players revealed their location to the God of Misfortune, who is a very big antagonist to the party. I am going to try to explain this as briefly as possible, but I'm almost assuredly going to run on. In the campaign before this, the player who controls the player character, Dave, in this current campaign, DM'd the last campaign. My player character in the last campaign, a heron god named Duyue, died, or was in the process of dying. He made a deal with his warlock patron, who was the God of Misfortune, an archfey god. In return for his life being restored, he would use the deck of many things in his possession, pull the top card, which he knew to be the wish card because of some established adventure plot, blah, 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 don't worry about it, to let him walk the material plane and exert his will onto the material plane without any restraint. Now let's get into exactly what happened last session and how it led to the God of Misfortune coming about. We have 3 player characters. Okay, we have Dave, Pint, and Stevo. Dave is a con man. His actual class is a bard in ICRPG. His first con was pretending to be in love with a village lady to get her money, but he kind of got scared after her son called him dad. He has multiversal abilities, which he's unlocked as a side effect from traveling with Serenity as she warp jumps throughout space and time. Then we have Pint, who is our newest character. He is a mage. He refused to give an older wizard $1, so the old guy cursed him so he can only cast magic if he has paint and ink for the material components of the spell. Also, his parents died in a car crash, and he wants to forget the movie Morbius. Yeah, he's from an Earth that is modern, but also has magic, a high magic modern Earth, basically. Whereas Dave is actually from Earth. Stevo is the only one from a multiverse without Earth in it. He actually is a Warpshell who disguises himself as a Torton, because Warpshells are very rare creatures, obviously very powerful. Like I said, could travel the cosmos, and there are some people that would like to enslave them or dissect them. His father is the God of Misfortune, Duma. His mother is a Warpshell named Bedlam, and very, very much into the whole idea of being chaotic and just going with the flow. He doesn't really remember much about his 2 parents, but every once in a while he gets visions of them, right? In the last session, the group agreed that Stevo needed a way to hide from his father's sight, to protect him from scrying. So they've tracked down this wizard with their guide's help, Turbo Clutch, and this wizard was, casting a spell on him while also using like a rare material component to keep him just out of the peripheral of his father, so long as he doesn't do anything to affect the universe or multiverse on a cosmic scale. During this enchantment process, the wizard was distracted for a reason that isn't important right now, but he was distracted, and that allowed his father to slip in. His father pulled Stevo's mind into his realm. They had a discussion. Stevo's father was like, hey man, you were dying before, right? In a previous session, you went down, and I gave you a bit of my power to help you out, and I didn't even ask for anything in return. And yet you still hate me. You won't even hear my side of the story, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and Steve-O wasn't hearing any of it. Now that he's heard that from Duyue himself, that, he destroyed basically Duyue's entire planet, not having it, right? So he told him to go screw himself, and Duma was like, all right, well, I tried to be a good dad, I tried to be what you wanted to be, but you're not hearing me out, so guess time to put on the work gloves. You mentioned Duyue. You know where he is. Where are you? Because he He hates Duyue. Duyue escaped from his clutches too many times. He is meant to destroy Duyue, and he still exists. I have it in my head that because he destroyed his world, that he also has to destroy Duyue because he's a part of that world, and otherwise it interferes with things on a cosmic and multiversal scale. I'm just realizing now that that might not have to be the case, considering the only proof that they have that Duyue's world was destroyed is from Duyue. So maybe his world wasn't destroyed. Yes. Okay. That's a side thing that we'll talk about in a future session. So as Duma is trying to sense where he is in the entire cosmos, Steve-O is trying to break out of this grasp he has on his mind while also trying to distract him. And, this Steve-O doesn't really know what to do. I mean, his dad's a god. What is he meant to do? He's only just been a simple space trucker all of his life. So it just slips. He's like, hey, man, do you know who Lithias is? Because in a previous conversation, while he was enchanting him, he asked Lithias if he knew who his dad was. And he's like, yeah, no, I ran into him once. So Duma, being a god, I don't think he exactly knows who Lithias is, but I think something rang in his head there. Something was familiar. Why is he asking me who this random person is if it's not supposed to be relevant to me, right? So he had an idea, Duma, to pretend to send Steve-O back. The way that Steve-O was pulled into the realm was through a dark cave that was like 100 miles like deep into the earth, and slowly like this like pin needle of light expanded into his whole vision, right? So Duma sends him back in the exact reverse of that. They asked the player to make an intelligence check to discern what's happening here, and he failed. So I told him to describe the state of the room. Sorry, not to describe the state of the room, but describe the first thing he sees when he gets back into the enchantment room. And so the player describes that point. So Doom is going to use that point to fuel the rest of his imagination to build the rest of the room, and that's going to allow him to discern where he is. Of course, then he remembers Lithias, he sees where they are, he can sense where they are, and then he does this whole elaborate illusion where he basically murders everyone, blah, 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 blah. That's where we're at. Duma is going to be coming to Lithias's estate, the wizard's estate, which is located in a realm between realms. I know that there's going to be some raid of creatures that is going to infiltrate this manor. I know that Duma is going to twist the scales against them. This isn't something that Dave's player did previously in the other campaign, but it just feels natural to do it here because this is a plot point that I've built up for a while now. That plot point being, because Dave has multiversal powers, he can summon his friends through their doppelgangers in the universe. So if he finds the Andrew Garfield Peter Parker, but on his Earth he knew the Tom Holland version, he could channel the Tom Holland into the Andrew Garfield version that he's seeing right there. That's how the mechanic works. And they sort of possess that body. And they did that for Zevos guard. The Zevos are groups of people that are trying to capture the Warpshells. They had before, but the Warpshells escaped. And they want to use this power to conquer the multiverse, right? So he possessed that Zevos guard. That Zevos guard has been through him for forever now. But recently, in one of the previous combats, I think 5 sessions ago now, maybe 6, Nick actually took a bad hit. And it was actually enough to deplete his health points. So I did a roll for Nick, and Nick failed his death saving throws. So I wrote it as like, okay, Nick's not dead, but he loses grasp on the body. He goes back to Earth, and the Zevos guard takes over again. So now the Zevos guard has been with them, and they didn't know this because the Zevos guard has been in game time, has been in the back seat for months, right? It's like Bruce Banner coming back after the Hulk, takes over on Ragnarok. Everything is like sort of fuzzy, but it's tenfold for this guy. He has amnesia. He doesn't exactly remember what's happening, but slowly over the past couple of sessions, he's been able to piece things together again, and I think Duma is going to use his will to tip the scales, to give the Zevos guard the thing to remember everything and to remember what his faction stands for and what he is meant to do and what it, like commandeering Serenity. He should commandeer Serenity because it is a Warpshell, and if he takes it back to his faction, he'll receive great promotions, and he'll hold great status. It only makes sense. It only makes sense to make it happen here. So that's going to be happening. And that's going to suck because I know based off the last session, they said, hey, I don't think we can fight this Duma guy being a god and all. So we should probably just run. That's their ticket out of there. That's what brought them here. That's their ticket out of there. And if they don't get that back, they will have to think of another way to get out. And there's a couple of ways that they could do that. One of which I think is maybe Lithias. Maybe Lithias could, like, teleport them somewhere else. Or they could break the realm chain. The chain that suspends Lithias' estate between the realms. They could break that and then be launched into one of the realms that it's attached to. This is probably going to be 3 hours. I mean, we have combat. I mean, all of these are going to be combats. Pretty much. Oh, handing over Duyue. That's another scene that they could do. Duyue's with him. If Duma's really, if Duyue's the only thing that Duma's after here, and they just hand him over, it would pretty much eliminate the raid. But this would still be an issue. Interesting. Okay. I will still write that as another scene, though, because I don't think Duyue's, I mean, being a pretty substantial wizard now, or mage, Duyue can kind of handle himself. So that's not going to be easy either. So in that situation, they're going to have to imagine, are they going to fight a horde of creatures from the abyss, commanded by a devil, or are they going to fight one rabbit guy? Whew, man, I don't know. I think that's all the beats I can think of this session. What else was happening last session? Dave and Pint were in a library, Lithias' library, and they were kind of looking around, trying to learn magic. Dave at one point wanted to go in the forbidden section, but these ethereal magical guardians that protect the library kind of prevented him from doing so. I think, as far as the Duma raid and the creatures, though, in the past, Dave's player, when running Duma raids, I'm pretty much strictly used abyssal creatures. Balguras, shadow demons, and corrupted pixies, which aren't technically abyssal creatures, but I think they're in the same vein. I think they're from the wild. Actually, this might have been before the wild behind the Witchlight? Is that what it's called? I don't know. Wild Beyond the Witchlight? I can't remember what that campaign's called. But yeah, sort of like a pixie thing. These are the 3 ones that I can remember. There was another raid where there were sort of zombie type characters and like a centipede or some sort of chitinous creature. I'm not sure. But all of them, were pretty much just bloodthirsty. They didn't really act with logic. They just teared, and that's sort of the abyssal archetype, the demon archetype. So, but that doesn't really make sense for Duma being a lawful god. I mean, I guess he wants to break out. He is going against law and breaking out. So maybe I don't need the devil sort of thing. But I don't know. I have it written here if I want to do it. The devil and Duma are working together, essentially. Sorry, not the devil, but devils and Dumas are working together to kind of control abyssal creatures and channel their aggression into a certain direction. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that the abyssal creatures could be used to turn on the devil, or this commander devil. The magical servants are fragments of Lithias dies, so if he dies, the servants wither as well. And then maybe, what if the servants are the ones that are holding on the chain? I think when he takes damage, maybe I could just say these servants are spells, and when he takes damage, he loses concentration on them a little bit. So damaging him also damages his entire army. Yeah, let's do that. Takes damage. Some servants disappear. Chains are held by the servants. I'm not sure on that. The only reason why I'm not sure is because I don't want too many of these scenes to be crossing over. I know Lithias is going to be present in the Duma raid. So if they do decide to fight and Lithias gets hurt a lot, to the point where almost death, then I think the realm chains would be let go. No, but then it'd be kind of cool. Actually, yeah, they are held by the servants, because then I would give them another objective. Held by servants. There's so many objectives here. Is it bad that there's so many objectives? I don't think it's bad, right? Like, I don't want to overwhelm. Well, I am kind of overwhelming them here. I don't want to make them feel like they lose either way. Although it does feel like, I mean, just imagining, like, okay, what it mean for a God of Misfortune to come after you. It kind of sounds like you lose no matter what. You know, it's the God of Misfortune. Misfortune, terror, pain, suffering is going to be in his wake. You gotta lose somehow. Okay, I think that means this is a sign that I need to make some treats. So they are getting rings. They, in their last little session, they salvaged rings from this imp. Yeah, they cut off his hand, so they have these rings. They all have their curses to it, but the curses are kind of manageable. It's not something that will affect them all the time. It's like a story effect, right? So it's only affecting, it's not affecting any mechanics. So we have the ring of smoke walking, the ring of flame walking, and ring of demonic domination. The first allows for like teleportation, demonic domination. The second one allows for like health to be restored when you're in flame, and you also get a little bit of immunity to flame. I mean, of course you get immunity to flame if you're being healed from it. I don't know. Yeah. And then the last ring allows them to cast Dominate Monster. Unfortunately, the curse for this one being that they start carrying on the properties of a demon the more that they use it. I feel like we need more treasure though. I mean, this place is full of magic stuff. So I mean, I guess roll on magic table. I already have 3 prepared items, so I don't think I need to prepare any more. Roll on magic table. But I think there needs to be treats in the sense that there's things that they can use to help them in these scenarios. So we have the foyer, we have the library that they could go to again. We have the realm chain room. I think they might want to get up on the roof, so we'll have the roof as a location. This wizard is like 1,000 years old, and he's like a doomsday prepper. So he's got to be kitted out a lot. So I think the roof will have like some sort of turrets, magical turrets, and he's probably got an answer at every corner of this place. Because I'm imagining like, okay, there's going to be weapons in every sort of room, right? Maybe, how am I going to write that? Should I write, oh, there's a weapon here, and that's this weapon, there's a weapon here, there's that weapon, there's a weapon here, there's that weapon? That's a lot of text on my sheet when I could just put it in a stat block and be like, hey, anytime he enters a new room or like he's near a new piece of furniture, he can pull out another weapon. Here's the list of weapons he can pull from. I think I like that more. Can find a magical weapon in every room of estate. Cool thing about this. Cool thing. Roll on magic table. Take closest weapon to number rolled. The weapon table doesn't, I mean, the magic table doesn't always give you a magic weapon, but if I can use it in a way that's like a weapon, I'll keep it. Otherwise, I'll just take the next weapon down or up. The best thing about this ability is Steve-O has an ability where he could just detect, like when he rolls wisdom, he can use it to find weapons. So that, I think once he sees Lethias do that, they're going to get much more, a lot more treats in every room. We might not to make, because of that, I don't think we need to make as many rooms as much. Sorry, not as many rooms, as many treats. Maybe 2 treats. I think one treat could probably be the magical turret, although Steve-O would probably just use that again. He's good with gun. Actually, no. We'll let this be a thing that Pint can do. This is Pint's moment. He could influence and will of their magical turrets. What other moment can we put in here? I'm thinking Dave's moment is going to be here with the devil. Because if I'm still doing the devil, devils are lawful. So, I mean, I can see Dave persuading them or talking to them. So everybody has a moment now, potentially, that they could do here. Actually, I'll put this in the secret. I want to start putting creatures in here, because I think if we work with creatures first and how we're going to put out the combats, then I can put in the treats. Put in the additional treats, or however many treats. So let's make the monsters, okay? So let's just list out the two ones that I remember being the coolest for the Balgura. And Shadow Demons were always used a lot. Throw Bandit Hop in there too. And then we need like a mini boss sort of thing. So like devil guy. So we do have to convert this into ICRPG. So I took a little bit of a break to actually flesh out these monsters and stuff, so I have a better idea of what's going on now. This is what we got so far. So we got our Shadow Demon. This is our tier 1 guy. He's got 1 heart, 3 dex. All rolls are hard while in sunlight. He can make 2 weapon attacks. It's really hard to see when he's in darkness, and he also heals. Heals while he's in darkness. And next we have the Banderhob. He's going to be our support monster. And what I mean by support is I designed these monsters as a set with Runehammer's like monster sets concept. Each version, each monster kind of helps the other and interacts in some way. So this one, for example, he can burp. Because I noticed everything in the 5e stat block had to do with like his mouth. So he had bite, the tongue, he had swallow. I got rid of the swallow because I felt like it was too much. Yeah, tongue, swallow, bite. Oh, shadow step. I guess I don't really need to put that back up in there. I'll add the shadow step in. Why not? Shadow step. I'll just write it here for now, and I'll put it in later. Shadow step. But yeah, he makes everywhere near around him in complete darkness. I figured that would be helpful with the demons, the shadow demons. Because it would let them heal for a little bit, and then it would give them easy on all their attacks, since none of my characters can see in darkness, so they're going to have hard. Then we have the grapple, which is like a weapon attack, and then they get pulled close for a bite, and then while he's biting, he can't take any other actions. He also has a death rattle, so whenever he explodes, the concentrated gas in his stomach, whenever he dies, the concentrated gas in his stomach explodes, and everybody has to make a con save, or their rolls are going to be hard, and they also take basic damage. And if they choose to clean it off, they can in 1d4 rounds. This I took straight out of Cane Kiln's monster set for like the fishmen. I believe it's his support one does a similar thing, except he didn't have a mechanic to clean it off. So it's still going to be difficult to do that. In fact, I'm going to do 1d4 plus 1. It's going to be tough to do that in combat with an action. Actually, with an action. I probably should make it 1d4, yeah. 1 round is a lot, at least for a player. They can only control 1 character. And then we have the Barlgura. Barlgura, I kind of, he's going to be our brute, but I made him a lot more brutal, I guess you could say. I made a Juggernaut leap. First of all, 2 hearts, 2 actions, plus 4 to strength, dex, con, wisdom, plus 2 effort, right? You could jump far, and then everyone has to take 3d4 damage in that. I guess I should put 3 times basic if I want to keep with the lingo of ICRPG. Yeah, 3 times basic. And then he has a basic punch, and they must be saved or grappled. And then if they're grappled, he'll slam them into the ground. And if a 4 is rolled, 1 loot is destroyed. It's also a mechanic that is pulled from one of Kane, kills monsters. I haven't done a lot of loot destruction in this campaign, so I want to add that in more. Then we have Reckless Tumble. Just because I know I'm not going to put many of these guys in. After missing an attack, they can make an easy Wild Fist. So potentially they could make 3 attacks in a turn if 1 fails, but then they do have to fall prone and their turn ends. So it's only if they miss the second attack. Otherwise, they still do have second attack. Yeah, then fall prone and then turn. And then we have Mauling Bite. This is a timer action, so when he enters the combat, I'll roll a d4. In this many rounds, he does this to one of the targets. He ignores defense, he does ultimate, and then the target loses a nose, eye, or ear of their choice. If I roll a 1, that's going to be really lame. Strength, save, or lose a nose, eye, or ear of their choice. Yeah, so they'll definitely want to kill this guy quick. And finally, we do have the boss of this session, which is a fiend that I've named Ajaf, a devil. 6 hearts, 2 actions, plus 7 all stats, plus 5 dull effort. When they first see Ajaf, they have to make a charisma save or fall in love. Scatterspell. This is everything else here is mostly everything else here is just the fiend stat block. They cast spells to other people. Has a cool sword. Can fly, and people take a damage. Do they fall prone? I think they're supposed to fall prone. Then she can summon 4 creatures, and this one it's normally feeders, imps, shadow lashers, or flamekin. I felt the need to just change them to the monsters in this combat, and then I also threw flamekin at the end because they've already encountered flamekin, so they would know what to deal with those guys. I don't want to throw any more loose cannons in the session. You know, they're already gonna have a lot to deal with. Let's see, Thunderwing. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about falling pro. So they just roll dex or fall. Just going to take the turn to recover, so I think that's already painful enough. And then, if defeated, she'll use the doorway spell. Probably won't flavor as a doorway spell. I don't know, it'll be some cool, like, smoky comet wing thing when she takes up into the air. I think that's pretty cool, but the only thing left to really do now, other than make more secrets, I always am lacking with secrets. I can always get 3 to 5 instead of the major 10. I mean, I could always throw the ones that they haven't discovered in, like, Duyue is impaling, is launching time spikes into planets to save them from Duma's wrath. Nick is no longer possessing the Zevos Guard. It's obviously going to be one. I can actually think of one now. Another one about Matthias. I said he has purple eyes because he's absorbed a lot of dark star energy, so he's probably a little volatile. It is his belief that the devourer must consume this energy to possess the power necessary to consume all of existence. He sacrifices... He doesn't really sacrifice his body, because nothing bad's... Why does my chair keep lowering? I need a new chair, dude. Can you guys tell by my battered headrest? Absorbs as much as he can to stall this threat. Matt, who is Matthias' apprentice, is drunk. This isn't really a secret clue. Is drunk on the roof. What other secrets about the party members can we speak of? Not party members, but the NPCs. I mean, I don't think I have any secrets for Barry. Maybe I should, since they asked her to come with them on the ship. Barry's like a xenologist. Like, she studies, like, beings, species from other planets. Duyue stole something from the forbidden section of Matthias's library. These are the most secrets that I've had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, those are probably good. I'm gonna be honest. I'll leave the 2 there just in case I think of any more. Do need to flesh out locations more, I think. I'll put front garden. I think there's some sort of statues that have mechanic significance here. In the foyer, door can be barred. What other rooms? Wizard's Manor. I mean, a library, maybe like an enchantment room. Alchemy lab. Well, I mean, if you can do portals, then I guess we could do some portal room. And I don't know, we'll put astronomy tower, and this is the portal room. Like I imagine like he uses like some enchanted telescope to search through the realms or something. Got a lot of locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 of them are just. I don't think they're going to the library again, so I think we can take that out. Potion laboratory. Definitely have some potions here. In fact, let's look at the ICRPG has some potion ingredients in the spell and the Master Edition book. Magical plants and fungi. Portal fungus. Open portal to a dimension. The last 1d4 turns. Mana Blossom. Again, a disposable heart. Usable on any spell effort. Now we're thinking about spells. Pint has a spell that's just a wall. So I'll get rid of the Matthias foyer thing. We'll just get rid of that location entirely. I actually like that. Mercurial Potion. Yeah, like he has like a potion going on. It's in the middle of brewing. If they want to grab a finished potion, then I'll just roll on the magical plants and fungi table. But if they take a potion in the process of brewing, then we'll do the mercurial mishaps table. Potions, the process of brewing. Roll mercurial mishaps. I'll put this in all caps too. Mishaps. Yeah, looks like we got a session going now. Finished potions. Roll rare ingredients table. And we will put the page number for this, which is 328. And this one is just 320. What if the astronomy tower is above the realm chain room? Or in the same room, though? I'm trying to think of where I can put the monsters in the most. Like, when I can, like, roll to, like, spawn them. Front garden for sure, because that's when they're initially going to come out. Potion laboratory, probably not. I think that's just a chase scene where they're being chased. I think if they're on the roof, the tower, or just running down a hallway, then I might spawn more. Any hallway... 1d4 shadows on a 4 Barlgura. So what's the most logical way I can see this going down? Obviously this hallway. Let's move this up to here. Move you down. I love that I can do that. I don't have to copy and paste. It feels so cool. Yes, any hallway. I imagine just go to garden, then the first hallway, and then they can either go to the potion laboratory. Can I spell it right? What about the guards? I think Matthias would probably focus the guards here, and then have a little bit in the realm chain room. Matthias is the only one here after all, so I can't imagine he has an army. He might have 20 spirits total. Maybe 15. 10 to 20 spirits. In fact, let's put a number on it right now. 11. So he has 11 guards, including his librarian. So yeah, he's probably going to have... I mean, he's got... Does that seem too little? Not really. He's pretty capable himself, too. Ooh, I should probably still make a stat block for him. Or maybe not. You know what? Here's what I'll do to avoid like NPC bog down. I'll just have Lathias be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go into my control room where I control all the things in my house. And he's just gonna lock himself in there. Yeah, I think that'll be a lot easier. And then we could be like, yeah, he's doing the magical turret thing. He's controlling some of them. But maybe one of them gets damaged, and that's when we get Pint's moment in there. He'll take over manually, perchance. Do I need anything else now? I think this is enough to work off of. I mean, I'm probably going to change this between now and, actual, like, session time. But I think this is pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 locations. Are they fantastic? Not right now. Everyone gets a hero coin to start. I might give everyone 2 hero coins. At least I'm gonna get Steve-O 2 hero coins just because I feel like he could probably use it. He's been taking a beating these past couple sessions, just with being stuck. Like basically, in the previous session, he was like stuck on this ball, that had natural, like, it was a metal that was naturally resistant to scrying. So Duyue just encapsulated him in it, so that way his dad wouldn't see where they were going. He wasn't happy with that, obviously, because I mean he can't really do much on a ball other than like slam. Yeah, probably won't do that again. Probably, yeah, that was a weird choice, taking away a player's ability to use anything about their character. Well, to be fair, that's not true. No, it basically was true. Had it been someone else, then they would have had abilities that they could use outside of it. And to be fair, he actually did use some of his abilities. He has 1 or 2. He has 2 abilities that don't involve weapons that he could use, but it's nothing that did damage or anything, so he kind of felt useless. But I don't know. I didn't feel super bad, just because, I mean, he did kind of just narrowly build his character into just making 1,000,000 attacks. But I still probably wouldn't do it again in hindsight. But anyway, yeah, Steve-O. So Steve-O gets 2 hero coins. And that is it. Yeah, I think we're good. So thank you guys for hanging out as I prepared my next adventure into the Warpshell. Your support is the magical essence that fuels the Crystal Tome, so please feel free to leave a comment down below if thoughts, questions, or any topics you want me to elaborate in the future. I was thinking maybe of doing a video on how I adapted the Warpshell into like my existing setting, or maybe doing like a developing the factions of the Warpshell, because everything in the ICRPG setting is kind of just bare bones like what you need. And I think there needs to be something out there to provide an example for how to adapt it into a full campaign. So I might do that. But if you guys are curious to see if any of this prep proves useful, check in next week around this time. And in the meantime, may your dice roll well and your mugs never empty. Farewell from the Crystal Tome.